Bert Oliva's Mastermind Circle.
Hello and welcome to the Mastermind Circle tonight. My name is Alexa Oliva and this is
Valerie Leichman.
And we are going to bring us special programming tonight. Since Mr. Oliva's out of town, we decided that we wanted to share a special message with you. So we're going to begin by showing you a brief video about what tonight is about and something that's very close to our hearts. So hit it, Valerie. All right.
Our world is broken. There is an epidemic of isolation infecting every corner of the earth. We are all more connected than ever before, yet we are so desensitized that we are not aware of what is happening even next door to us.
Everyone feels some sort of disconnection.
But most of us are not even aware of what it is that we're lacking. We're not communicating in ways that we innately crave as human beings.
We need to have a positive shift.
We need to realize how similar we are and how important we each are to the human race as a whole.
This group is empowering children.
Your dream, no matter how big it is possible.
Teaching them that they are not stuck with the hand that they are dealt.
You will reap the benefits of the actions that you take in your life.
That they can change it. And if they are able to change their own lives, it will ripple out as global change.
Everyone here has an opportunity to do something special, not just for your country, but for the world. For the world, for the world, for the world.
The goal is to build awareness to prevent human trafficking and cyberbullying by teaching leadership, self-confidence, and much more.
It is time to shift our global viewpoint from an emphasis on things to an emphasis on people.
We are welcoming groups of students to be motivated by one of the world's leading motivational programs.
Sometimes people have to reinforce that they are great.
He has passion.
And this little nonprofit is one of those phenomenal 5-star gold standard nonprofits that fights back.
I myself felt motivated, although it was for the children.
We always showing love year-round to the kids, let them know that it's important to have education.
It's all about just getting the message across to everybody, because if nobody gives them that message of hope and inspiration, then who will?
If you can walk on glass, you can literally do anything you want. You can put your mind to it.
I got to walk on glass.
I've been to steel.
I ate fire.
This is the first time I do something like that in my life. This was great, man. This was awesome.
Crazy people succeed. Today we learned how to make it happen.
What it takes to reach our goals.
And to not take money over our dreams. And to follow your dreams and your heart, because everything is possible.
His message was all about celebrating who you are.
It's a big takeaway for all the children, even the small ones.
The kids seem to really have enjoyed it.
I can assure you that it resonated with them.
Good things are happening.
The most important resource we have on this planet are our children.
And the connection between each one of us.
This is a movement in human consciousness for our world.
We need to come together on a human-to-human and grassroots level.
It's really about waking up and making a conscious decision of how you're going to live this life.
It's up to us to do something about it.
I'm making it happen.
We're making it happen. We're motivational missionaries right here.
I must take responsibility for my own actions. I will not just think positive or do only. I have the ability to create things in my life. I do not have limits on my dreams.
We each matter. We are unstoppable. And together we will make a world of awareness.
What we are gonna do?
To recognize the human connection.
The Human Connection, a world of awareness.
Here's how you can help. Number 1, you can make a donation online at our website or a live event. Number 2, connect with us on social media or tag us on some of your posts. Or 3, share the movement with your friends and family. And it is possible to bring the Motivational Missionaries Tour to your school or community. This is a global movement. Ask us how today.
Well, thank you, Bert, for that inspiring message. Anyway, so today's topic is about human trafficking, and that video that you just saw a moments ago is a video that we show other ministries in different countries so that we can go in, and you see we've been to a handful of countries, and we teach the children leadership skills and empowerment skills. But at the same time, we also teach them human trafficking awareness so that they don't get into danger or prevent danger or recognize the danger.
Does anybody happen to know what human trafficking is?
We have an anonymous that says it's
like taken?
Like taken. That is the number one answer that we get, believe it or not. So a lot of people think that it's sex related or that it's slavery, and the answer is yes, it's both. But however, there's another one that's very concerning also, and it's labor trafficking. So we're going to show you a brief video that we found that we thought, wow, this says a lot. And it's not an old video, and it's right here in the US. And a lot of people think, you know what? I'm safe. My kids are safe. I'm not going to let them fall into that.
Yeah, everybody thinks that it happens everywhere else, that here in the United States, everything is fine. And unfortunately, it's not. So let's go ahead and check out the video.
These girls were victims of something hard to believe, something you might never expect, something that happened in plain sight. You are looking at girls who were held as slaves in America, not for a week or a month, but for years.
Can you tell us about what it was like having someone else control all of your movements, everything you did?
It was like being, being trapped, being in a cage. It's horrible. Like sometimes it's not enough food for us to eat, no freedom at all.
Nicole and Zena and another 20 girls like them were brought to the U.S. from their homes in the West African nations of Ghana and Togo nearly a decade ago. Barely teens, promised an American education. They were instead enslaved in Newark, New Jersey.
What did the traffickers take from you?
They took my childhood from me, my teenhood. They took it from me. They took my trust from me, and they took everything. They took everything away from me.
The girls were forced to work in hair braiding salons, serving customers all day, right out in the open. Their captors took all the money the girls earned, every penny.
How many days a week were you working?
7 days a week.
How many hours a day?
Sometimes 14 hours.
This went on for 5 to 6 years. Traffickers held the girls in several houses in Newark and East Orange. The traffickers no longer live there.
This is the neighborhood where these girls were being held, and just look at it. Manicured lawns, nice houses. It looks like any neighborhood in America, and it definitely doesn't look like a place where you'd expect to find slavery.
Who would commit such a crime? These are the traffickers. Akawavi Afalabi, the wife, was the ringleader. Lasisi, the husband, and Derek, the son, were accomplices, according to court documents and law enforcement. Why did they do it? Money. Pure and simple. They made about $4 million off the girls.
As you can see, human trafficking can be anywhere. It can be in your neighborhood, right under your noses, and you don't even know. And we've actually met victims, and we work hand in hand with Homeland Security and the Human Trafficking Task Force here in South Florida. We have each, including Bert and the entire team, all been certified to teach human trafficking awareness. And we continue to learn and see what we can do as an organization to help prevent this horrible thing.
Yeah, because thankfully there's a lot of different organizations out there that are just now starting to realize that this really is an epidemic in our world, and they're starting to fight it and starting to work with specifically victims and first responders to spot it. But one of the things that we're doing with our nonprofit is helping to prevent it by helping to really teach children specifically how to recognize what the signs are and how to keep themselves safe and to stay away from it. So tonight what we're going to be showing you guys really is actually a little bit of what we teach the children when we go to these different places.
Yeah, we've modified the presentation just slightly so that it's more geared towards, adults, parents, family members. So it's a little funner for the children, not particularly this part, but when they get Bert live. So here's some information. We're going to run through this real quick for you guys.
Okay. So on average, 46% of trafficking victims actually knew their captors before they were taken. And every 30 seconds, another child becomes a victim of human trafficking. 76% of the girls that are taken into human trafficking are actually first taken or involved in it online. And currently there's 35.8 million slaves around the world. That is 40,000 more slaves now today than there were in 1850 when slavery was still a thing. And the average age for a child to become a victim of human trafficking is 12 to 14 years old.
You know, we also learned a statistic that it's not on here, but the average cost of a slave back in the old days was thousands of dollars, and the average cost of a slave today to upkeep them, $90. So it's big business, and that's why it's happening right under our noses. So
yeah, they even, one of the recent conferences that we went to, they told us that one of the reasons that human trafficking is becoming even more popular, that a lot of drug traffickers and things like that are moving into human trafficking,
even gangs,
is because unfortunately people are a reusable resource, as they put it, where drugs and everything else has to be manufactured.
It's also the prosecution of these traffickers is very difficult because the victims have so much PTSD and they're very scared of their captors that to testify and see them again when they've been taken away from that is very hard. And another thing that one of our friends from Homeland Security, one of the things he's always fighting for is the laws, because what happens is, so now this girl's been trafficked for 2 or 3 years. Now she's 18. Now she gets captured and they think, oh, she's just a prostitute. So that's another huge problem that's happening. And you know why it's difficult to capture these people. But the more aware we are, and the more aware we are as a community and as parents and as family, the better it is. And that's why we have dedicated a portion of everything that we do to preventing this, and also inspiring the children to teach them these skills so that they're not so vulnerable to these people, because they do look for people or children that are vulnerable,
less confident.
Less confident. Confidence is definitely one of them. So that's why we work hand in hand with Bert to deliver this program to the children.
Okay. So why did you get involved with human trafficking?
Well, a couple of years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, Bert and I were in Belize and we were going to Guatemala, and on the border, there was a billboard that said human trafficking, beware of traffickers and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people have a problem over here. And then I went to the hotel and I was in Belize and I looked through the TV channel and I saw human trafficking propaganda. And I was like, oh my God, these people over here. And I didn't think anything else of it. I was just being an ignorant American at that point. And came back to the States, and a couple of weeks later, Val and I are on the board of the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. And an agent from Homeland Security came in to do a presentation to us. And I was like, what? We're number 3 for human trafficking in Miami? Are you kidding me? And the ages are from 12 to 14? Well, I have 2 of those at home. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Who's delivering this? Who is making sure that our children know this? Because I'm going to go home and my children are going to be like, yeah, Mom, whatever. And he was like, nobody. We're teaching first responders. There's funding for first responders like firemen, policemen, doctors, victims, some teachers. Here, luckily in Florida, because it is such a big problem, our state has gotten involved. And I know particularly Catherine Rundle, which you saw in our video, is highly involved in this. So we keep developing this, and it keeps, we know, changing lives, because we've had a lot of children walk up to us after a presentation and ask many serious questions. So that's how we got involved.
All right, so what exactly is human trafficking? Everybody thinks it's the movie Taken, but like we said, it's not just that. And actually, the legal definition, there's 3 different pieces that add up to human trafficking. The first is there has to be an act that the victim has to either be recruited or transported. Then the reason the way that they're recruited or transported is there's going to be threat or use of force, abduction, or giving of payments. And the reason that these people are being taken is for either sexual exploitation, forced labor, or slavery in general. When all three of those are together, they add up to human trafficking. When you just have two of the pieces, they're technically not human trafficking. There are other things like human smuggling and things like that, which technically are a little bit different.
So a lot of people are like, okay, so where do these children get taken? And it's easy. They can get taken anywhere, from a park to a movie theater to a bowling alley, even a friend's party. Like, you know, today the kids like to go to Getty's or Telly's. A Getty, which is a get-together for children, and a Telly is a hotel party for, you know, teenagers. So a friend invites you over. There's another guy, young guy, you know, recruiting because he probably gets a couple $1,000s a head or whatever, and it's easy to recruit them. And that's it. They get taken, walking alone in the neighborhood, going to the mall by themselves. It's that easy.
Yeah. And it's not just that they're taken necessarily. A lot of people think, okay, kids are taken out of their homes and sent somewhere else. A lot of times what happens is these kids are being recruited by somebody, sometimes befriended by somebody at first. And little by little, they're turned into sex slaves or human trafficking victims, but they're still living at home.
Yeah. So in other words, if you don't meet me at the mall at 7 p.m. on Friday, I'm going to do something to your parents, to your family, to your cat, to your dog, to someone you love, to your boyfriend. And they threaten you this way. So of course, you don't want to see danger happening to you or to your family or anything around you. So you better show up. They go, they do. And sometimes the average trafficker has 4 to 6 slaves, if you want to call them, or people under them, and having sex anywhere from 24 to 48 times. They're making a day, 24 to 48 times a day. And that's big money. When you add it up, they're making well over, I don't know, $1 million, $2 million from this. That's why it's big money, and that's why it's a danger. And there's a lot of places where these sickos go. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article yesterday to Sabrina that I found that they just rescued 400 children from 357 people for child pornography. Wow. And most of the people that were involved were police, nurses, doctors, priests, pastors. Yeah, it was scary. So it's real, guys. It's real, and it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. So what exactly happens when somebody becomes a victim of human trafficking? They can be tortured and abused. They can be raped or even gang raped. A lot of times they suffer from malnutrition. Of course, there's a high risk of STDs and AIDS. They can end up becoming very depressed, even committing suicide. There's also unwanted pregnancies. A lot of them get murdered. And in general, it develops a sense of hatred within the victim themselves.
So some people might be like, okay, but why? I don't have any children, or my children are grown. Well, you know what? It's possible, and the majority of us, I want to say the majority because not every single one of us, have children, nieces and nephews, godchildren, neighbors, just children in your life. And you know what happens is they come back if they survive, because the average life expectancy is 2 years. If they come back, they're damaged goods into our society. And then that damage in our society is now going to affect the things around them. And we're going to have to pay, more medical bills and welfare and mental therapies and all that stuff. So it's a problem for us in our communities, in our country, and around the world.
So how exactly, like we were just talking about, the different things that happen are they will threaten the family and the pets of the children. And that in and of itself is it's a psychological coercion, basically, because it's, especially for a 12 to 14-year-old child, if you think about where they are in their mental state, if you threaten their family member, they're going to try to do anything they can because they're going to believe that whatever you say, you can do.
Well, they look for those 12 to 14-year-olds because they are just getting a feel for what may be adulthood in their minds, and their bodies are changing. And everybody's treated and everybody's heard of, the preteen syndromes that we go through. And also another thing, that brainwashing also can be wooing. And if you can see that word on the screen, wooing, which means that they just bring you up and they tell you all these beautiful things and make you feel like you are just grand, but then they ask you for that favor.
Yeah, a lot of times the wooing that will start out as, specifically a lot of times it happens with girls, but it can happen with boys as well. An older guy shows you some attention and starts making you think that you're their girlfriend, and they bring you flowers and they buy you expensive gifts and they take you out. And then little by little, they just ask you for that favor. If you really love me, you'll have sex with my friend. If you really, really love me, you'll do this, you'll do that. And before you know it, you're completely in. And then finally, the traffickers also have quotas. They have quotas that they force their victims to meet. Either they have to have sex with X amount of people, or they have to do X amount of things throughout the day. And it's a lot of hard work and seriously damaging.
Yeah. So what are the signs? Some of the signs to look for are anxiety with law enforcement. So you see they're always trying to avoid law enforcement, or they get nervous when they see a cop, or if there's a cop behind them or whatever. They're just scared of the law. They could be in really bad health. You could see a lot of bruising, or just bags under their eyes, which is not really normal for teenagers if you think about that. Malnutrition because they're not eating right. So also there's tattoos, like the one you see here on the screen. That's the tattoo of her pimp. And a lot of times they also have barcodes. So if you see somebody with a barcode tattoo, that's another way that they keep their inventory updated, I guess. They also have controlled speaking. In other words, they're thinking about what they're going to say so they don't screw up, so nobody thinks about about what they're involved in or what danger they're a part of. Also, another indicator is loss of location. They'll be like, hey, where are we? Just not quite sure where you're standing. And you're like, well, we're here. We're at the mall. Oh, and what city are we in? So, just something really strange about them. You can't put your finger on them. We just want your spidey senses to turn on. Just pay attention. When one of these things triggers, we just want you to pay attention. And also inconsistent stories. They're telling you one thing and then you see them again and they're telling you something else. Oh no, I have two sisters. No, I have only a brother. No, so they have inconsistent stories because they're just trying to piece it together. It's lies. And of course, they're already living with trauma in their life. They're already living possibly with drugs and abuse and all these horrendous things. So it's hard for them to keep their story straight.
Yeah. Another thing that's a sign that's not actually on here is if you see somebody who's not in control of their own documents, if they don't have their ID on them, I have to go get it from somebody else. If they don't have specific things that you would use to travel or go other places
or drive,
a lot of times that's one of the signs that somebody is a victim of something. And maybe it's not trafficking, but something funky is going on.
Yeah, and we just want you to be aware. That's it. That's what this is for. Strictly for awareness and prevention. That's what we have been chosen to do. We have chosen to do and kind of been chosen to do. So what are some tips for preventing these things? So these are a little bit different because for the children, obviously, it's a different set of awareness techniques here. But what we want you to do is, if you have anybody that we mentioned, children, nephews, nieces, neighbors, tell them when they go out to stay in groups. I never, ever let my kids, we only live a couple of blocks from the junior high that they went to, and I would never let them walk home alone. Tell them to stay in groups. As long as it was in groups of 2 or 3, I was like, okay, you can walk home. Okay, you can go to the mall. Okay, but always stick together. And I always tell them, you're going to go out, you keep each other safe, you have each other's back. And you kind of have to repeat these things to your children all the time. So much so that I'm proud to say, even at 22 with my oldest son, checks in every single day with his mom. I know where he's at all moments. He moved away, and I'm still tracking him, and we still speak every single day. So it's just a habit that we started creating early on, that they knew they can trust us, talk to us, and mom and dad are always there for them. And the same for all the children. I'm like the mother goose of the neighborhood. All the children know they can come and confide in me. Like I was mentioning with my children and my family, we all GPS track each other. And I tell them, if I'm going to pay for your phone, you're going to keep that tracker on. And I would track them when they're in school, and they know I'm constantly checking the tracker to make sure that I know where they're at all moments. And another thing that I do with the GPS tracker is if they're going out late at night, or I'm not quite sure where they're at, and I'm going to go to this friend's house, but I've never been there, I take a screenshot of the last location that my children were at. Even though there's some other apps that we use that will track the route, but I like to take a picture and just, it's easier. I go to sleep or get on with my day. And also we have check-in times. They know that every 2 or 3 hours, they got to send me a text, FaceTime me, or call me. Just let me know. A lot of times, especially with the older children, I tell them, listen, I don't really care where you're going because I trust your judgment. I just want to know you're safe. It's for my peace of mind. That's it. Just check in. And of course, I'm sure by now everybody's heard about, checking your children's social media. But nowadays, it's kind of hard with the social media. There's so many different avenues. And a lot of times your children, like at Snapchat, won't allow you in because it's you have to accept the invitation of the person that wants to see your life. So it's hard to get into those. But in any case, negotiate the rights with your children. My fingerprint is on my little one's phone because I need to get in there. I need to check every now and then and see what's going on in their lives. And just by having that access stops them. And also in the social media that I can see with my children, I make sure there's no vulgarity, that there's no sexual content on there.
That might be the next slide.
Yeah. So make sure there's no sexual content on there or vulgar.
Yeah. Well, there's multiple reasons for doing that. And one of the things that we tell kids is, besides the fact that you don't want your mom or somebody to see something and you don't want to invite a trafficker in or something like that, putting things out there like that, kids a lot of times don't realize that anything that goes out on the internet is there forever. So I always say, okay, if you don't want a future employer seeing something or a future grandchild seeing something, don't put it up there because it's there forever. And I always shock people when I tell them that even Snapchat, that's supposed to delete in 24 hours, I think it is. We met an attorney at one of our conferences.
The Children's Coalition?
Right, the Children's Rescue Coalition. And he told us that they actually had discovered that traffickers have found a way to hack into Snapchat and use pictures that these kids were sending to each other against them. So somebody sends a sexual picture to another friend, they somehow grabbed it, and then they used it against the kid to be able to make them into a victim. So some of the important internet safety tips, that just things to keep in mind that you want to at least tell your kids, is to make their profiles private. There's absolutely no reason for them to have public profiles out there. If they're checking in, like using some kind of check-in app, one of the things they should do is not check in. I think Foursquare is no longer, but maybe Facebook lets you check into locations now. But wherever you're checking in, one of the things is to check in after you've left, not while you're going there. And also don't ever check in at the same time at the same place every day because people will notice a pattern. Hide some information. Don't give out, your full name, your full birthday, everything out there. Try not to use a webcam because a lot of people can turn on the webcam whenever they want. There's ways to do that in a technical way. And of course, like we said, no sexual content, because there's been a lot of stories in the news now where kids are getting in trouble by sending any kind of sexual content to even another child. It's actually child pornography, and they can then be prosecuted by it.
So what to do? What do you do if you feel that you've stumbled into it, or somebody and you have to refer them? So there's a national hotline called the National Human Trafficking Hotline, 888-373-7888. You can also text info or help to 233-733.
And Be Free.
Be Free. And that will alert a national organization called Polaris, who works hand in hand with Homeland Security. So it will red flag that, and they will start tracking it. And that has been a big help. Polaris has a lot of statistics and a lot of more information on there for prevention, information, and slowly but surely more people are opening their eyes to this. And we have approached a couple of politicians to start collecting funds for awareness. And that's what we're doing.
That's it. And if you are looking for resources on this, if you go to, hold on, let me just go here real fast and we'll go back to that. But if you go to our website, there's a whole list of resources where you can find out more information and links to the national hotline and Polaris. And there's some statistics there. Specifically, there's even a map that shows you cases just within the United States, because everybody is always saying, oh, it doesn't happen here. And it really does. So if you're looking for more information on it, check out our site. It'll point you to wherever you want to go. And let's go back to the message today.
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Edmund Bert.
So we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions.
Which we already have.
Yeah.
One.
All right. Felicia sent a question. I don't know if you're willing to go live, Felicia. It's a little different with me in front of the camera. Let's see. Felicia asked, what are you finding that happens to the babies born as a result of the mom being in a trafficking ring?
Well, what happens is a lot of times they will make sure that they take them for an abortion or somehow terminate the pregnancy if they're caught in that ring. But if they're rescued and they have the baby, then at that point they're taken to different avenues, and there's lots of nonprofit organizations taking care and housing, mostly females, unfortunately, or fortunately, but they need to open up more shelters for men right now for boys. It's a big problem, and I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I do know another scary thing that I read that is happening. Sometimes they'll have the moms have the babies and then they will sell the babies.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another thing that happens in human trafficking. They can sell your body for black market organ purchasing.
Oh, yeah. Felicia said she wanted to know if they sell them.
Yeah, they do. They will sell the babies. They'll sell your organs. Like if you're no good and you're not any good anymore to them, and they're like, okay, they've reached their point. There's nothing more that we're going to take from them. What part of them can we resell?
Yeah. So basically what we do with MMT is, like we said, we're just trying to get the awareness out there. We're trying to help everybody be aware of this problem, because a few years ago we had no idea that this was an issue here. Mm-hmm. So if you guys have any questions or know of any place that you think could use some more of this knowledge, please let us know.
One of the ways that we, a lot of people are like, okay, I want to help. I want to bring you to our school. Just log into our website, and there's a form on there that you can fill out, and then we'll start up a conversation. There's different ways to get our group to go out there to your children's school or school district. We're open to everything and anything that will help prevent this global epidemic, because that's what it is. It's a global epidemic.
Yeah, and the first step is for everybody to become aware of it, and then we can really start combating it.
Yeah. So. All right, so it's time for us to log on out of here and go check and see if Mr. Oliva's flight has actually landed yet.
So we hope everybody has a great night, and you guys will see Bert next week.
All right. Thank you. And remember to live life and don't let life live you.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Register online and join us today for all new live interviews and weekly topics only at themastermindcircle.com.